But I had to stop hedge witch tarot uh, reader that I follow, the South African lady. I decided my voice is better. I mean, important than hers as of right now. She's what she was talking about reminded me. This is a recording. I hope it's yesterday that you did, but I was strongly uh, inspired to. I was strongly inspired to. What is it? Record. I was thinking. What was it? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with what we want. I hope it's the very previous recording after this, right? So right now she's talking about somebody's, um, inspiration could be just opening a YouTube video and then playing video games, right? Like it could be as silly. It doesn't like what is it? Stop judging what we want, what you want, because there is nothing wrong. It's like if it's a want, like a true want that comes from your heart, it has a purpose because that is God. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean like changing the world like I am, like that's my calling, right? Writing self-help books. But at the same time, I have a fun passion as well, a fun calling as well, which is fashion, right? Fashion is not a need. There's enough clothing that we can wear. You know what I mean? But fashion is a need for some people, and for me as a fashion designer, where I don't even see myself like dressing up every single day in the luxury, what do you call it, couture that I want to make. It's like I don't want to wear it as much as I want to make it. Does that make sense? So like right now, when she was talking about that, I remember that recording, and then I actually was. This was the energy that I was feeling, but I only talked about on the recording that there isn't anything wrong. But I forgot to talk about the big part of it that aligned with that message, which actually gave me the the feeling. I felt it in the energy form, and I ended up recording just a highlight, right? So what we want doesn't necessarily have to make sense for others, and it doesn't always have to be important, right? Like that's what I was getting, and yeah, I just wanted to add that. She just reminded me of right now. Probably like 2 days ago is what I record when I recorded, but I believe that's the last recording, right? Like if it's what you want, or truly without being forced to it or influenced to it, it has a meaning. As silly as it might sound for some, or even for your own self, God is silly and intricate, complex, simple, and beautiful like that, right? Video game can bring a lot of happiness to some people, like how it would bring headache for me, or I have actually zero interest since I was a kid, right? But for others, it's a total different story. So yeah, it's about the point that I wanted to make was respecting what we want because it's important. It always carries weight to it. It always carries a valuable lesson to it, is what I want to say. And do not ever judge what you truly want, no matter how silly it might sound, right? Like I am a living proof. It's crazy how uh, when I finally separated from judging what I want was when I was recording Subtract 15 Years from Your Age in 2021 or 2022, I believe, right? And I was talking about how I should not feel ashamed for wanting to be a model because I was almost feeling ashamed for wanting to see myself on the magazines, wanting to see myself on New York, billboards, and my baby, my first love. And I'm so happy, even the person that was my first was a person that truly saw me, was a person that was truly ahead of his time. And rest in peace. But he made me a beautiful artwork as he saw myself. That was on a New York, what do you call them? Billboard, right? On the top of the buildings. He put my face and he did. I have that on my Facebook, and I love it, and I love him for that. So like for the longest though, right? It broke me. Like there's this deep, deep desire, right? I see myself as being a model, but I thought it wasn't important enough. How can I feel? How can I think it's important to be seen by people? How can you know? But when you think about it, I love my face more than any face in the world, right? I think my face is gorgeous more than any face in the world. And I think I'm like, I could be a perfect critic for gorgeous. I just love pretty things, pretty faces, right? And uh, who created me? I didn't hand paint my face, my face, but even if I did, right? It's like judging an artist or a painter for thinking his art is the best. Isn't that like the key, the needed key for becoming a successful rapper? Isn't that like the first thing that they're supposed? It should be actually there. It's expected for them to be their mantras, their mantra even, right? That I am the best. So yeah, like for me, it was a big lesson to learn in that, right? And I was recording when I finally got free, when Spirit was speaking through me, right? I was saying that I'm advertising for God. I should want to be seen. There's nothing wrong with that. I should. You know what I mean? And I am. That is my purpose. That is where I am going right now. My life has made that full circle. Finally, right? It's done. It's done. I mean, we're never done healing and we're never done learning. Life this is an ongoing, but like there are a graduation periods. Now, from now on, all the lessons that I'm going to be learning is going to be specifically attached to my soul purpose. So all the obstacles or the lessons or the hardships, um, all the problems basically that I need to solve. No, like actually, right? A word of choice is important here, like talking about hardships and failures and blah blah blah. But it's going to be aligned to modeling. It's going to be aligned with fashion designing. It's going to be aligned with the lifestyle that I am living and that I want to live. It's going to connect, if that makes sense. Yeah. So 2024 included, or yeah, included all the lessons that I needed to learn about who I am, about what I am. It basically was a graduation. It's like 8 years, like a doctorate. That's how long it takes, right, to be a doctor. 7 years, or is it 8 years? You have to do your residentials too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, my lesson started what? I had, when is the time that I watched The Secret? That's when my journey started, right? Exactly 6 months after I moved. Look how intelligent universe is, because it's giving me a story. It was creating a story through me, like for me to go back and to talk about it exactly when, because like the focal points align with a perfect timeline. So when I talk about it, people can learn. You know, like if it was just like, oh, around this time, da, 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 it wouldn't even create that profound switch within myself, right? Like if it wasn't at a profound time. And the reason for that in my own personal journey was like exactly 6 months after moving to Vegas, right? It was like the first week of moving. My friend that drove with me hasn't even left when I got that job. It was like the third day that I ended up getting a job at Wells Fargo. You know what I mean? The universe did that on purpose. If I was like going places left to right, scattered energy, like in Las Vegas, server, or like if I was in the casino industry, that would have delayed my learning process or my awakening process, so to speak. So it's exactly 6 months after, right? I had my evaluation that they do. You get called up in the office, and your branch manager, your immediate supervisor, and the district manager will be there, and then you'll be asked, where do you see yourself? Or like if they will critique you, they will give you advice. What you know, and I was doing really good. So they were asking me, are you going to be in the manager department, or are you going to be a banker and a banker? Because if you're going to be a banker, you're going to be your branch manager. And if you're going to be in the management side, you're gonna be with your immediate supervisor, right? And I was like, I want to be a banker, right? And my immediate supervisor was like, oh no, I'm gonna miss you. Da, da, da. But my branch manager said something. And she was like, well, where do you see yourself 5 years from now making 50,000? For me, 50,000 was like energetically, it was like $50. In 5 years, I did not see myself being in the working world, especially in that bank. So like to me, I was depressed, and I'm sure they felt something. But anyways, I walked out of the office, and it was a calm day. Uh, we have that moment in the bank, right? There is going to be a rush, and then there's going to be dead time, and that's when like we go to lunch and things like that. So it was my friend, my favorite person. She was older. She was like 45 back then, right? In her 40s, early 40s maybe. And I was like, what, in my early 20s, right? Because I haven't even turned 25 yet. I was 24 when we moved. So she asked me, what's wrong? I was like, I don't know. You know what they said? Like, I didn't, this isn't what I saw. I don't know. I just opened up for her out of nowhere. And mind you, how deeply she cared for me to even share the secret with me, right? She listened. She sincerely listened. Because our energy match, that was the universe's doing. Right? I said, this isn't what I saw myself doing, going back. That's like, this is the same thing. What's the point of moving to Vegas? Right? I didn't see myself working. She's like, what did you want? I was like, I wanted to be a model. And that is what I thought, because I remember seeing online. There was, it turned out to be, it was just a photo booth for taking the requirement professional photos for America's Next Top Model, and I thought it was actually an office, an agency. That's the first place I went to, and I forgot what casino it was in 2013, right? Man, was the universe preparing me, boy. It's crazy. And it's so funny right now. I'm recording this at the same complex condominium that I lived back then. And this was like the exact place that I begged, almost like it was my burning desire to move back when I moved back in 2019, right? After I moved back to Ohio, and I'm living at I'm like literally stepping on my manifestation, bruh. Whew, this feels good. This feels good, man. My life like literally went in circle, full circle. I feel whole. I knew I needed to go out for a walk. But anyway, so she said, have you ever envisioned yourself being a model? I was like, what? No one ever asked me that. She said, like, have you ever seen yourself walk on the stage? People clapping for you, people looking at you. I was like, it hit different because I'm a very, very open-minded person. And when truth speak, because I'm genuine, right? When you have a pure heart, when you're coming from a genuine place, that I wanted to, if you asked me at that time why I wanted to be a model, and I was asked to, I said, I wanted to show people they can dress however they want. What does that mean? I'm a fucking fashion designer, but I didn't even know that. And that was my response when we were asked, when I went to John Casablanca acting and modeling school. I appreciate my mom for that. She was paying $400 like every 2 weeks, bruh. And those bitches were just like fucking bloodsuckers, taking advantage of the weak. They don't really do shit. And Tyra Banks talked about that. Never pay agents. They should be taking their cut after they get you a job. But I fell for it. But anyways, that was my answer. And when we would go out like once a week to take photos. They would take photos. They teach us how to pose and things like that, right? I always, I never took a picture with the same, with the outfit. It's like I create something. Like with, I would make a shirt out of my scarf, or I don't know, fold my shirt and do something with it. Like, right? I just wanted to look different. That's my thing since high school. That's why I expressed myself with my hair. Right? I always look different. Okay, I'm tired. Let's go back home. So, um, yeah, like, so she said, have you heard of The Secret? I was like, no, what's that? She's like, okay, when you go home, right? She wrote it down for me on the deposit slip. When you go home, watch a movie called The Secret. And I remember I went home, I typed in The Secret, and there's a whole bunch of weird shit that came up. And it was a documentary, and she said it was a movie, so I was just like, what is this? I just left it alone. The next day, the first thing she asked was, did you watch The Secret? I was like, no, I didn't find it. It was a whole lot. It was a lot. And I don't remember I even used YouTube before that. And then she was like, no, 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 okay. Today, here, watch it. It's gonna be a guy with a white suit. She's talking about Bob Parker. That turned out to be my best friend. Spiritually, of course. Rest in peace, he just passed away. And she's like, it's the the preview, the display is gonna be like this guy. I was like, okay, bet, right? Again, as soon as I got home, I remember that day. I remember fighting with my little brother because he hated Vegas. He missed Ohio because he likes the cold. He can't go outside because it was too hot. And right, you just wait for me. He can't wait until I get home because I bring the weed. And I just, when I get home, I give him my car, smoke with him, and I would let him do whatever he wants. I just go straight to the gym, right? That's what I used to do. So that day, I remember he was like throwing tantrum like a kid, you know? And I was like, what the fuck? You were like on the computer all day. Get up. I need to watch something. The computer was in his room. So I ended up watching The Secret. I finally found him, right? And I remember Bob Proctor starting. I was so excited to watch it, right? I was like very, very, very excited. Like as if I knew. Like you see, like energetically the spirit knew that there was gonna be this big connection. And so I I will never forget. Proctor was speaking and he said he was talking about electricity. Electricity, right? We all use it, but do we know how it's created? And then it brought this. He was talking about that. Like, look how I remember, like 10 years later, and that's the only time that I watched The Secret. 15 years later, shit, it's 2024, the end of 2024, December 6th, 2024, right now. The frequency so high. I'm so like things are making so much sense to me right now. Like since October, I'm telling you, all these tarot readers, all the soul tribe that I've attracted on YouTube channel, are saying the same thing that I'm feeling. It's just so crazy to me, like how we can literally communicate like this spiritually. Like we manifest each other. Like all these channels are like, what? Oh, I love it. I love it. But so yeah, and then he said, so he was talking about electricity, like I said, and then they brought New York, and Lord knows how much I adore New York. Like the same burning desire that I have right now, that I know it's manifesting for 2025, the Eiffel Tower view apartment of mine in Paris. That used to be New York. I wanted to live in New York in the same type of luxury apartments that I am creating in Paris right now. So I wanted to go to New York, be a model, da 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 da, like be a fashion designer, go to fashion school. That's what I wanted. And then I can, on the side, I can act. I mean, there are a lot of auditions that I can take advantage of in New York for the acting. You see, like all the things that I wanted whenever, because I was not judging it. You see how it goes back to the title of this recording? Do not judge what you want, no matter how silly it sounds. Because think about it, like, and if I was talking to people that are like living a regular life, people that are not dreaming, they would look at me like, the fuck? I'm working at a warehouse and shit, and you're dreaming about being in Hollywood, being a famous person. Like, what? Right? No one would believe me. No one would support me. And thank God I knew that. I was very smart to understand that energetically. So I never really shared unless it was the right person. But rewinding a little further before that was that uh, they brought the New York, and then all the city, the lights just went out. And then it's like I kid you not, I felt something on the top of my head. Now I know it was the activation of my crown chakra. I felt something. It's like I felt it was so overwhelming. The feeling that I felt, it was like finally. Oh my gosh, I'm about to cry. It was like a hug, like a big hug, because this was a need, a thirst that I have for the knowledge that I've been contemplating about life. It's like, why is there rich people? Why are there poor people? Why does God allow this? Is God does God exist? Well, like how far is the sky? Where is God? Like everything, my whole life I contemplated on these subjects, right? Like, and outside of how much I wanted to be rich. I just always wanted to be rich. I wanted to live in a gated community. I have like my own driveway. Like and this is like a desire that I had since I was 6, 7 years old, living in my birth country in the third world, right? And I've always, whenever we go to church, and my mom is lenient in the afternoon, because a lot of people with kids actually leave, but she was so fucking rigid with the religion. I stay with her, but she was lenient. In the afternoon, we can do whatever we want. We can play around. They were just kids. Leave them alone. You know, it's too much for them to pay attention. But in the morning, it's like I have to sit up. I sit upstairs because I don't have to sit next to her. And but it must be at a place where she's able to see me. That's how rigid my mom used to be. But in the afternoon, bruh, like this was, and I'm mentioning this because it was a reoccurring dream in 2015, 2016. Even now after I moved in Vegas to be the last, but the countdown, I'm so excited. I even it even came an on and off way the last 5 years after while I'm living in Vegas. What I used to do was like in the afternoon after we eat lunch and stuff like that, and church the afternoon program starts. I go outside by myself. I love the fear. Like I'm alone. I love it. I just love being alone. And I would just leave the rest of the kids and I'm literally picturing it in my head right now, right? When I came to America, I was 13, going on 14. I wasn't even fully 14, right? So I'm 35 years old right now and thinking about this, and I'm a psychologist. I mean, or I have a degree in psychology. I know what they said about how the brain fabricates, not fabricates, like, what is it? Memories can, whatever. But I remember, especially like I would get out of the church, like the gate, I would leave out to the right side. It's always the nice houses. The right side, I would just walk around. There's this ground plus two. There used to be a store right in front of it, and I would buy a candy, right? And then I would just stand there, I would just stare at the house. It's like black gated door, ground plus two, so gorgeous. Like people don't think about this, like riches exist in the third world. And then like around it, I would just walk all over. And I know my area, I'm smart, but it used to bring me such a happiness is not the word, right? Like as a kid, that's what I loved. Imagine kids don't give a fuck, right? They don't even walk around. Where are you going? I'm just gonna go see that house. They're like, what? No, they want to play, right? So they don't even leave the church as long as they're allowed to play. So my mom thinks I'm playing, right? But like what is it, Zavanya, the guards, whatever, they don't pay attention when I leave. I would pretend like I am leaving with one of those people that are actually leaving the church. I would just walk, bro. Like when I think about it, how slick I was, that's crazy. And so yeah, and then to the left side, it used to be like empty ground. That would be like the back of the church. It wasn't that many nice houses, but like it was empty. It was like an empty road, and I used to like enjoy just stare at the energy, and I would just zoom out, right? Like that feeling, I couldn't quite understand it as a kid, but like I used to have a reoccurring dream after my spiritual awakening. If that my childhood, it's always like around that church area, and then that house, and then my other, my palace, it's like my Beverly Hills, bruh. Used to be, we used to get fresh milk, right? There are people that have cows, and they will sell milk. So like on the weekends, I was allowed to go get this milk, but Monday to Friday, because we have homework after school, it's the maids that would go get it. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm the one who will get it. So it's like at 5 p.m. I would cross the street, like after crossing the street, meaning where the taxi or transportation would drop you off, they're not even allowed to go in. It's like a 5 minute walk after you get dropped off at the by the transportation. So it's like one of those long private roads, like how they would have in Miami that I've seen, or in LA, right? So and then so it's like once you finish this road, then the houses will start. It's like 3 or 4 houses, but they're so huge, right? And before I actually get to the people that sells us the milk, there are other there are like actually guards. So it's like another gate that I would enter. And then after entering that, it was only like the people that sells us the milk, and then like another residence to the right side. Bruh. Oh my God. How much I basked in that energy. I just loved being around it, just looking at it. Right? It was like me remembering my, in that childhood, me remembering riches. That's how I lived in my previous life. I was a king. I was a pharaoh. Like, I was a queen. And then right now, like all the tarot readers, all my soul families talking about the ancient, remembering ancient wisdom, like being Egyptian, Atlantis, da, da, da. And Atlantis used to be like Ethiopian territory, and I'm fucking Ethiopia. I was born in Ethiopia in this lifetime, right? Think about it. It's like everything is just like connecting and making sense. This doesn't make sense for everyone, but like going back to the secret, right? When uh, when Bob Proctor talked about electricity, that we don't understand it, but we use it, and he was talking about the law of attraction. He's like, we are attracting, but we don't understand how we are attracting our reality, or how we are creating our reality. But we are creating our reality, right? And that was the big take home for me. Like, it's like my life changed. At work, I never had a hard time because I'm like, every individual I would interact as if they're the last and the first, and I would find something to compliment one. It's like my customer relationship was like on point, and it was like within 6 months I got promoted to a bigger branch. Like, then I ended up quitting and moved back to Ohio. It's so funny, right? And then that's when my dark night of soul started after moving back to Ohio, right? Like, I had to learn the hard way, 3 years, 4 years, all by myself, figure it out until 2019. But look at me, I made it. Because spiritual awakening is not a walk in the park. When they say the universal conspires with you, it doesn't mean a walk in the park. No, you just have to learn to enjoy everything, solving your problems, being in the downtime, the waiting period, until things manifest, right? So, anyways, going back to the title of this video being "Do Not Judge What You Want," right? So, for me, like, the starting was modeling. The beginning of all my desire was modeling, my love for fashion. I didn't even realize that I was a fashion designer until halfway my spiritual awakening, after I already started meditating, after I already like understood what it meant to be spiritually awakened, the shift that I was feeling. So this was like in 2016 ish that I realized that I was a fashion designer, when I ended up buying my first sewing machine and start taking sewing classes and things like that, and realized that how much I hated sewing and shit like that. But it's like, when you respect what you want, it's gonna start leading into your life's direction, is what I'm trying to make basically. On the previous video, I talked about not judging it on that aspect, but I forgot to mention how no matter how silly it sounds, if it's from God, it has a purpose, and how much we need to respect that is what I wanted to say. And that is exactly what the 3:11 on the clock, my new soul tribe, that came into my life in October, the hedge witch tarot from South Africa was talking about that. And when she was giving the example of the someone simply wanting to be playing a video game on YouTube, um, is what reminded me of this part that I needed to mention. Thank you for listening.